Hello everybody, I'm Thomas, welcome back to another video. This time I am back with episode 0 of my new Starforged playthrough series featuring Cypher, the space detective. Now today's going to be a bit of a session 0, meaning I'm just going to go over the character I've already created, all the Starforged setting truths and all of that, and kind of just give you an idea of what I've already kind of worked on for this campaign slash playthrough series. So I want to do a new playthrough series. I'm going to basically be doing 2 videos a month, and then also every other month doing a live stream. So this month I'll have the first 2 videos of this, and then there will be a solo gaming Sunday this upcoming Sunday after you'll be seeing this. So looking forward to getting started to some more Starforged because I really enjoy playing Starforged, and I posted a poll on my Discord about what type of character I should play. I kind of wanted to base it off of like some TV tropes and a detective slash investigator is what won. So that's what I'm gonna be playing here today. So we're gonna start by going over the Starforged truths, the setting truths. And like I said, I've already kind of done all the groundwork for setting the character up, the setting up, figure out my truths, made my sector. So I'm just going over all of that here today. And then next episode, we'll actually get into playing. So here are the setting truths. I'm just going to kind of read the top kind of bullet points and maybe a little bit of the details, but there's kind of like a couple more sentences going into more details that I'm not going to read. If you want a little bit more detail, feel free to pause as I'm going along and you can read a little bit more. So the first setting truth is the cataclysm. So why did my people leave their home world and come to the Forge? Well, that's because of interdimensional entities invaded our reality, specifically beings of chaotic energy. I thought that sounded like a fun one. I should mention all of these. You can either roll or choose on. For this playthrough, I did choose all of these. So I went with that one because it sounded pretty interesting. Next was the Exodus. So, okay, we're leaving our homeworld, coming to the Forge. How did we get here? Well, that is when the Exodus fleet set off on a ponderous journey to a new home outside our galaxy. They marked the Forge as their destination. Countless generations lived out their lives aboard those titanic ship during the millennial-long passage. So yeah, I liked the idea of just having, you know, big ships that went across space, and it took a while to get here, but eventually we did. Next is communities. So this one says, we made our mark in this galaxy, but the energy storms we call balefires threatened to undo that progress, leaving our communities isolated and vulnerable. Pretty self-explanatory. Next is the iron category for how people swear their iron vows, which since for the Exodus, I chose that we took the gigantic ships that were very important for our people to get to the Forge, that it felt appropriate that the iron vows are sworn upon the remnants of the ships that carried our people to the Forge. So there you go there. Next, for the law category, much of the settled domains are a lawless frontier. Criminal factions and corrupt leaders often hold sway. I thought this seemed pretty fun. We'll go into it in a second, but like the area of the Forge I'm in is very populated, and so I wanted, especially because I'm playing an investigator, I kind of wanted it to be a more lawless territory. I feel like that'd just be a little bit more fun, so I went with that. As for religion, our gods have failed us. We left them behind. I went with this option because I don't think religion will be too big of a factor in this playthrough, so I kind of just wanted to make it a little bit more of like a, not that people probably, there's not going to be any religion, but it's not going to be a big part of this playthrough and this, I guess, setting that we're playing in. Next, for the magic category, supernatural powers are wielded by rare people we call paragons. And more specifically, these powers are born of ancient knowledge held by secretive orders. So I kind of like the idea that magic does exist, but maybe it's like an older thing in the Forge, and there's maybe like cults or secret orders that wield this, and it's a hard to come by thing. It's an older magic, and yeah, that's kind of where we're at with that. Next is communication and data. So information is life. We rely on spaceborne couriers to transport messages and data across the vast distances between settlements. So I always like this idea. I think I almost always go with this option because I think it's really interesting. There's a few times I haven't, but there is short-term and like near space communication. But besides that, if you're trying to go like from planet to planet communicate, you're going to need some spaceborne couriers to do that, which I like that idea. I think it's a fun one. Next, for medicine, so we have orders of sworn healers preserve our medical knowledge and train new generation of caregivers. Pretty self-explanatory. Next is artificial intelligence. So artificial consciousness emerged in the time before the Exodus, and sentient machines live with us here on in the Forge. So I like the idea of having some AI, and I think that an older one that was present here before us is pretty interesting. As for war, here in the Forge, resources are too precious to support organized fighting forces or advanced weaponry. So obviously there's always going to be skirmishes and battles, but I like the idea that at least where we are in the Forge, it might not be the most prosperous, and maybe weapons are a bit harder to come by, so that war still is present, but it's not as common because resources are a bit more scarce. And I think that just makes it a little bit more interesting, especially, like I said, I'm playing a detective and investigator, so I don't think I'm gonna be doing that much combat. And I don't know, I wanted war to be a little bit of a not as prevalent of a thing. Next, for life forms, this is a perilous and often inhospitable galaxy, but life finds a way. Pretty self-explanatory. Precursors, so over eons, a vast number of civilizations rose and fell within the Forge. Today, the folks we call grub scavengers, grub scavenger crews, and audacious explorers delve into the mysterious monuments and ruins of those ancient beings. So like I said, there's kind of a couple of these that tie into the idea that there was an ancient civilization here. It's kind of where the AI came from, it's where a lot of the magic came from, and that there's, these, I guess, monuments and ruins to explore, which I just think is pretty fun. And then finally, horrors. Most insist that horrors aren't real, but spacers know the truth. I just like the idea of that being a thing that can happen with weird creatures and ghosts and whatever else, Like I said, the very thing that made us leave our original kind of galaxy was beings of chaotic energy. So I'm kind of leaning a bit more into the, not wacky, but kind of the supernatural alien life forms type stuff. So I definitely think horrors are a real possibility. And there you go. There is the setting truths. Like I said, there's a little bit more details below each option. So if you want to go back and read a little bit more into that, you're more than welcome to. So next, I'll quickly go over my character I am playing. And like I said, I am playing a space detective / investigator whose call sign is Cypher, and that's what she pretty much goes by. Cypher has a 3. You always assign a 3 in one stat, 2 in 2 other stats, and then the 1s in the other 2 stats. So she has a 3 in shadow. She's very sneaky. 2 in wits and 2 in hearts, so she's pretty knowledgeable and good at speaking with people, but not very good with edge or irons. Not very acrobatic, not good with guns, not very tough, not very strong. So I think that pretty well describes her. As for some characteristics about how she looks, acts, and what she wears, she has long black hair that's usually tied up, green eyes, and a long scar kind of going like the length of her left arm. She acts extremely sneaky because she is a bit of a investigator. She's got to be sneaky. She's infiltrating into places. So that's just kind of how that works. Somewhat of a know-it-all and extremely logical. I actually got pretty much all of these from the Space Aces book that has like some character quirks and whatnot. I think that book has some really good like character traits. So I did extremely sneaky. I did pick the rest of these. I rolled up. And what she wears some old glasses, a silver trench coat, and green cargo pants. So as for her assets, sleuth just feels like an obvious one to go with. So this one's pretty interesting. I'll kind of read it over real fast. So whenever I swear an iron vow to solve a murder, disappearance, theft, or other mystery, make the rank of the quest no greater than formidable. And then whenever I gather information over the course of the investigation, I roll 3 challenge dice instead of 2. If any of the challenge dice match, I must use those values. On a miss with a match, envision what you learn of a deepening conspiracy or betrayal, make the rank of your quest 1 higher and use the new rank when marking future progress. It's just fits perfect with what I'm going with. And I've never played with this asset, and that seems like a lot of fun. So I'm really looking forward to that. The other path I chose was Infiltrator. She's a bit of a detective, so she's got to be breaking into places. So whenever I make a move to break into a secure site, infiltrate a protected area, or hack or manipulate a secure system, I add 1 and take +1 momentum on a hit. On a strong hit with a match, access is easier than expected, and I get another +1 momentum. And then for my final asset, I just chose another path, which is Scoundrel. So whenever I make a move by lying, buffing, stealing, or cheating, I add +2. And on a strong hit with a match, your deception creates an unexpected opportunity. Take the value of your shadow has plus momentum. So those are her 3 starting paths. What else? So a little bit about her, just some general notes. She's 31 years old. Her backstory is, I picked this from the book and kind of went off a little bit and kind of went a little bit in my own direction with it, but not really. I haven't gone too much into her backstory, but pretty much she grew up on Freya, which we'll go over here in a second, is the main settlement here in Igneous Spine, which is the starting sector. And she's always been a bit of an investigator, but recently she's had visions that she has been trying to investigate, like what the meaning of and maybe how to stop whatever she sees in these visions. Gear, she has the pretty standard gear. She has an electronic lockpick, a switchblade, and a worn plasma pistol. Like I said, her main background vow is find out the meaning of the visions. So the visions I came up with is that the visions are vague, but they seem to show the returning of the chaotic entity that wiped out their people from the previous home. And I rolled like a mythic pair of like action descriptors, and it was like fail leadership. So I said like this return seems to be caused by some failure of leadership that then kind of allows this chaotic energy to come into the forge. So she is trying to figure out, you know, who the leader is that fails, why do they fail, how this being could come back, all this stuff. So that's kind of her main thing, is seeing these visions of this chaotic energy, whatever chaotic beings that originally wiped out her people that might be making a return to this part of the sector. And her starting vow, which I'll go over here in a second. Real quick, so this is the starting sector, Igneous Spine. It is in the, what's it called? The Terminus region. So it has 4 different settlements. We got Rust over here, which I'll quickly talk about some of these. Rust is just a small deep space settlement that's corrupt authority and deals with entertainment and secrecy, so probably don't want to go there too much. We have Reprise over here with thousands of people, one of the bigger settlements. Fair authority, and they deal with spirituality and exploration. Interesting. And then we got Pinnacle down here, deep space settlement with hundreds of people, lawless. They deal with medical and expansion. And then the main settlement of this sector is Freya, which has tens of thousands of people. This is where Cypher was born and raised. Authority is oppressive. Settlement projects include warfare and manufacturing. It has beautiful architecture. There's a settlement trouble of battle for leadership. And there's a tavern called the Crooked Thorn that Cypher frequents. That has fantastic food at a good modest price and is usually always crowded. Now, one of the starting NPCs I rolled up is called Zephyr, which is an older gentleman that has kind of a hostile disposition, but Cypher and Zephyr have grown pretty close over the years. He is the lead pilot of the Transportation Guild on Freya, and has an only son named Badger that works as a pilot under Zephyr. And that brings us to the starting quest, which is to find Badger, because recently Badger went to travel to Pinnacle on a pretty routine delivery and hasn't returned. And Zephyr is worried because Pinnacle can be a pretty nasty place, and Badger has done their fair share of deliveries before, so this shouldn't be anything too crazy. I mean, there's a passageway that goes between the settlements, so it should be like a pretty easy journey. So clearly something has gone wrong. And Zephyr is worried about Badger and wants me to go investigate, which I gladly will do. So Badger flew to Pinnacle to deliver some medical supplies, hasn't returned. Zephyr also knows that there is a faction called the Wreckers on the settlement that might be involved, which is a good time to talk about 3 factions that I spun up. So we got the Accord of the Elder Sentinels, a faction that hunts and wields ancient artifacts and magical properties. We have the Alliance of the Cursed Watchers, a faction created after the Exodus to the Forge, whose purpose is just to destroy any alien life forms that threaten us. Basically, they were created to help prevent what happened before and keep an eye out for any chaotic energy beings or like any really weird alien or extraterrestrial beings that threaten to just wipe us out again. But then there's also the Wreckers of the Internal Circle, which is a raider faction that's from another sector, but they've been slowly making their way into Igneous Spine, which is the sector that the story will be taking place, maybe just primarily, but who knows? I mean, we might go to other sectors. I haven't really done that much, so that might be kind of fun. Those are three factions I created. So one also thing we'll be doing a little bit different this playthrough is using Mythic. Be trying to really use Mythic. So I've added Zephyr, Freya, and then the 3 factions to the NPC list. And you know what? I should also real quick add Badger, probably. I think that just makes sense to add them as well. So we'll throw them on there. And then the main threads is just, I don't even have any, but it's going to be basically my starting vow and to find Badger. So let me actually add that real fast. Okay. And that's pretty much it. I also did roll up some settlement troubles that there is a parasitic life form spread that's spreading like a plague, essentially. And that might be something. Maybe it's tied to the vision. Maybe the I already forget their name. The Alliance of the Cursed Watchers is already taking care of it, or maybe that's something they're dealing with. So that's just something else that's going on, kind of sector wide. With these factions, I mean, I made these, I think a Court of the Elder Sentinels is probably not necessarily a hostile faction, but they're probably not friendly either. And they're probably dealing with some magic and training up paragons. So who knows what their intentions are. But I kind of envision them pretty neutral. Alliance of the Cursed Watchers, I envision them pretty friendly because they're just trying to protect against, you know, alien life forms and like I kind of already mentioned. And then Wreckers of the Internal Circle, I just straight up said they're like a raider faction, so they're gonna be pretty hostile to what we're going on with. And that's pretty much it. That's where we're starting with this story. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to cover. Not really. So where we're gonna be starting next episode is Cypher has just arrived at Pinnacle and is about to begin her investigation, trying to figure out what happened to Badger. Probably first seeing, did he even make it to the planet? Is his ship still here? And then kind of going from there, seeing what she can find and hopefully tracks down Zephyr's only son, because if not, then he's not gonna be happy. And then who knows, we might already be dealing with the Wreckers, right? I'm already forgetting the name of these factions, the Wreckers of the Internal Circle. So who knows? But that is all I have for this episode. A little bit of a shorter one, but I'm also, with these videos this year, trying to make them all a little bit shorter. That's why I'm also uploading 2 videos a week. So next episode will be coming out pretty shortly, and we will pick up on Pinnacle with the start of the investigation for Badger. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, a like is always greatly appreciated. And until next time, I'll see ya.